All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1,000,000 Relationships Podcast. And today I am here with Christine. Christine, welcome. It is so awesome to have you today.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this is so cool how this happened. So we got connected, you and I got connected about 3 months ago through a mutual friend of ours, Marusha Murphy. I just want to give a little shout out to Marusha because I love Marusha. Marusha is not only is she just this amazing, giving and generous person, she's really badass at what she does and helping people build communities around their businesses and stuff. And you know, because she connected you and I, because I found out about you through her and vice versa, you know, we get to now, even though this is mine and yours very first interaction together. I don't know, I won't speak for you, Christine, but for me, I feel like I've just known you for a long time because we have this mutual friend in Marusha, you know. And so,
Yes, it is. It is interesting and awesome how when a mutual friend introduces two people, it's like, oh, it's like I've known you forever.
yeah, yeah. And once again, you know, that is the power and the testament to relationships, and
Yes.
which is really what this is all about. And so, what I'd like to do is just kind of start by turning it over to you a little bit and giving you the opportunity to like set a little bit of context and just let us know who you are, Christine, and share a little bit about what you do, who you serve, and what inspires you most about the work that you get to do.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Well, I am Christine Kloser, and since 2004, I have been helping transformational authors write and publish books that transform lives. To date, I've published over 650 authors, not single-handedly. I have an amazing team of people that help me do all of that. And we do it under the umbrella of two companies. We've got the Get Your Book Done company, which is the writing, consulting, helping people write the books. And then we've got Kapusha Publishing, which is an independent publishing company where we publish books for people. Super high quality, very well done books, but where the authors end up keeping all of their rights and all of their royalties. So that's what we do. Our primary client is probably like a 50 to 60-year-old woman who has a lot of experience and wisdom in her life. She might be in a professional career. She might be in her own business. She might be at a point where she's making a transition in her life. And she just knows that she's got a lot of wisdom to share. And this book has kind of been brewing inside her for a while. So we not only help her write it, but we help her birth it into the world and launch new businesses and land on media all across the country and just have beautiful opportunities open up for them to have more impact. So what fires us up is seeing that transformation, right? Seeing someone come into us who's like, I have this idea for a book. And then like seeing their book launch, many of them become bestsellers. They're like, I didn't even know that all of this amazing, stuff could happen to me after I wrote my story and, shared my wisdom and published my book, and it's an amazing to see that the book is done. But what's more amazing for us is to have witnessed that person's transformation through the process. It is phenomenal.
Very cool. Very cool. So you said you've helped about 650 authors since 2004? Wow.
Yeah, just over 650. Some of them in solo books, like there's 100-something solo books behind me, but we also publish anthologies where we'll collect anywhere from 20 to 40 stories and put them into a themed book. Like right now, we're launching our next volume of Turning Point Moments, which is our most recent best-selling anthology, comes out in July of 2023. So yeah, but I just counted recently because I'm like, how many authors has it been? And I counted it, it's over 650.
And I'm just doing the math, and I was like kind of in my head trying to figure out how many does that work out to on average per year. I'm like, that's a good number of authors every year that you're helping out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And I could
yeah.
not, like I said, I could not do it without like the most amazing publishing team on the planet who loves our clients as if it was their own business.
Wow, that is. And
I'm
how
very
many
blessed.
people do you have on your team?
There's about 20 of us total.
Pretty good sized team. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when you've got, 20 authors in the hopper, like you need a team of editors, you need a team of designers. We've got, a couple people on customer service and of course, program support and all of that. So yeah.
Wow.
It's awesome. It's
and I'll tell you, there is no hiding your passion and excitement and enthusiasm for the work that you do. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because um, I can see why people would come to you because you're just so passionate about what you do and stuff.
And I'm a little fired up right now because I just got off a call with some clients in our Get Your Book Done Accelerator program. And 3 of them were celebrating that they got their manuscript submitted and now they're in the publishing process. And so I just got to witness it. That's
Wow.
like our highest level mentoring and publishing program that we offer. And I just got to witness it like in the last hour, celebrating that they did it. They wrote the manuscript.
Yeah.
They wanted to write, but weren't sure they could write, and it's done. So
wow.
yeah, I'm pretty fired up right now.
How awesome to be able to celebrate.
But I'm always pretty fired up about this. So.
Okay, well, now that we've got a little bit of context set and people kind of have an idea of who you are, Christine, let's shift gears. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of the listeners, and then we'll shift gears a little bit. So have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who have completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not even be possible if not for this person or persons? And Christine, I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this, because I am sure it's going to impact anybody who gets to hear this in a really good way.
Well, absolutely, yes, which is why we're here having this conversation. And it's interesting because this iteration of my business, where we really are specifically honed in on working with these transformational authors. We don't work with the people who just want to crank a book out in a weekend. It's not what we do. Other people do that really well. It's not us. And the way that I became known in this world of transformational authorship is by running a summit. And the woman who completely transformed my life when I heard her speak for the very first time in 2006 on summits is Milana Lashinsky. She is the co-founder of JVIC, the joint venture Inner Circle. She is currently now founder of an amazing company called Coaching Genie. She's developed the best software in the industry for managing group coaching programs. And she happens to be my neighbor. So we were just emailing back and forth today about when we're going to get together for our next, lunch or dinner or walk around the park or something. So I'm so blessed. But way back in 2006, before we were friends, she had found out that I had, that I was in the area, and somehow I got invited to this event that she was speaking at. It was, can't remember the name of it, but I remember it was in New York City. Milana was speaking along with Michael Port, who you may know. He's the author of Book Yourself Salad, and Andrea J. Lee, who is a top-notch coach in the industry.
Okay.
And it was the 3 of them for the day giving these talks. And Milana spoke about these things called telesummits. And it was the very first time that I had ever heard this phrase, telesummit. What is that? And, here we are in this, nondescript hotel in New York. I remember it was stadium seating, and she had outlined, every last little detail. And I mean, we're talking 17 years ago, right? Every last little detail of how to run a summit. And at the end of it, she asked for people who were going to do summits to come down to the floor and share their idea. So I walked down to the floor, got the microphone, I'm I'm going to do this summit. It's going to be called the Conscious Entrepreneur Summit. And now that we're friends, she told me, she looked at me and she's like, this woman's crazy. She's never going to do that, right? But I did. And I ran my first summit pretty much within 90 days of that particular training. And I leveraged relationships that I had been building for 5-6 years. And almost every single person I asked said, yes, 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 across the board to be a part of the summit. So when it came time for me to really transition into this particular body of work with transformational authors in 2011, I was like, well, I have all these amazing relationships. Milana, taught me how to do these summits. I've done some before. I'm going to launch this whole new movement of authorship using a summit. And that's what I did. And in 2011, I produced the first transformational author experience.
Okay.
And I had, I think we were just over 10,000 people register for that training.
Wow.
And we've
Wow.
since impacted tens of thousands, close to 100,000 people now, I think, through our transformational author experience summits. And it's been
Wow.
one of the best, most productive, lucrative, profitable strategies I've used in my business. And it all
Yeah.
happened because I met Milana. And now we're like friends. Like we'll go out dancing together, grab dinner, take a walk,
Yeah.
sit in the
Yeah.
hot tub, whatever it is. So that
Wow.
was
That's
that that changed my life.
I know of Milana. I've never met her personally, but I know of her. I am familiar with the JV Insider Circle that her and Rich ran for a period of time and stuff. And so, but that is so cool to hear such a personal story and what came from it. And
Mhm.
and so I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know
I
there was
mean,
one other.
literally
Oh, go
tens
ahead.
of thousands of people around the world, and Lord knows how many books written because we can't keep track of every single person that comes to our trainings. I mean, but the ripple effect of just learning from her how to do these summits, and then the joy of being able to develop a friendship over the past decade plus has really been a gift.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that too, that feeling of, that not even really knowing the true ripple effect of the work that you've done. You can, like the number of authors that you can look up that number and find out exactly what that number is. But the lives that have in turn been impacted because of all of those books, that's a number you'll never know, but we do know that's a big number. That's a big
Mm.
number. And I always challenge people, don't forget to look at that number too. Even though it's an unknown number, it really starts to paint a picture of the real impact that our work allows us to have in this world. And it's massive. It's massive. And so kudos to you and all of your authors for that, because like that's exciting stuff. That's exciting stuff for sure. And because
It
not
is.
only are your authors getting transformed, there's a whole lot more people that are too.
Yeah. And there's something really amazing about guiding people on this transformational process of writing and publishing their books. And then, to see just some of the books we published behind me, it's like there's a physical, tangible, authority building, credibility building, extension of someone's heart and soul and knowledge and wisdom, like that you can hold and read and be transformed by. And there's so few things I think that take someone through that depth of process that delivers like a physical representation of what they've been through and how they want to serve the world.
Yeah,
It's awesome work.
yeah, for sure. Well, I know you mentioned there was one other person that you wanted to honor and acknowledge too, and I want to make sure we get an opportunity to do that too.
Yes. And this is that you heard me talk about the transformational author experience. I launched it in 2011. We had like 10,000 people participate in that training. And on the heels of that, I was like, gosh, I have this program called Get Your Book Done that I created in 2007. That's sort of like I've just been sort of, promoting it and marketing it to friends and not really getting out there with this program that has helped create all of these authors, right? So I'm at an event in Hawaii no, it wasn't Hawaii, it was Los Angeles. I'm at an event in Los Angeles, and I had just read a sales letter by a colleague about a program that they had about helping people, succeed as authors, more from like the publicity side of things and the traditional publishing side of things. But I read her sales letter and I already had the product because she's a colleague and she gave me like a sample copy. So I already had the product, but I swear, like I wanted to hit that button again. I was like, I'm going to buy this thing, even though it's on my shelf already,
Uh-huh,
right? I'm done through the
uh-huh.
content. I'm going to buy it again. This like sales letter just is fantastic. And I practically started salivating. I'm like, oh, I want something like this for my Get Your Book Done program. Like it was just time for me to have a beautiful sales letter that we could, send people to understand the depth of the program, what we offer, how we help people, our unique approach in how we do it, and, have the opportunity to click and buy. So I'm like, it's time. I want one of those. And so next thing I know, I'm in an elevator in Los Angeles at an event. And by the time I go from like the 12th floor to the lobby to get to the event, I find out that I'm in the elevator with the person who wrote that sales letter that made me salivate. And it was just like, he asked me a quick question to sort of struck up conversation. And I asked him, he's like, well, I wrote the sales letter for, such and so. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's you. His name was, the copywriter's name was Colin Chung.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
do you know Colin?
I know Colin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Colin wrote a sales letter for me back in 2011 that we have made millions of dollars on over the years. And it really changed my business because it's like, oh, okay, now I don't have to be out there always selling. I have a sales letter that can sell. And he's remained a good, colleague and friend over the years. We've been pretty tight for over a decade. Pick up the phone anytime. I feel like I just spoke to him yesterday, but that chance experience in that elevator, and it was Colin. And then I'm like, before we walked out, I'm like, I think I have a sales letter I want you to write for me. And he was like, well, okay, let's talk. And then, here we are 12 years later.
Yeah.
Still connected, still supporting each other, and all of that. So those were two huge game changers in my business.
Wow.
Milana and then Colin.
Is that sales letter that Colin wrote for you, is it still being used to this day as well?
Oh, yes, it is.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
We need to do a little bit of a refresh just because like the way the sales letters are on pages with design and all of that, we're going to be doing a design refresh this year, but pretty much the copy that's there is the copy he wrote about 13 years ago.
Wow.
12 years ago. Yeah.
Small world.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah. I first met Colin in 2013 at an event. My friend Jesse Elder and Jesse flew up to my place in Washington State from Texas, and then we drove from here and went up to Vancouver, Canada for an event that a friend of ours was doing, and that's what Colin was at that event, and that's where I met Colin. And so,
such a small world. Oh my goodness.
It's a really small world.
Amazing, Kevin.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Colin, I know today, he's got a whole team around him now, and they serve some pretty large companies. In fact, that's kind of like their focus. I know that their big focus now is not on smaller companies and stuff. It's on like the bigger companies, and he has definitely. It's been cool to watch his growth over the years too, and the impact that he has be able to expand so much and stuff.
Yeah,
and
indeed,
he truly has a gift for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to ask one question, and I want to think. You thinking about Milana and Colin, and if I would like to hear an example of one thing that's taken place over the years that, because you met Milana or Colin, that allowed you to have a really big impact in this world that would have never happened if not for the relationship that you have with either Milana or with Colin.
I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is the 90,000 something authors that we've served over the years through the transformational author experience.
Okay.
Which would not have been possible without Milana. I mean, that was a game changer for me. It was a game changer for the tens of thousands of people who have participated in that summit over the years. We ran it for several years. And, that would not have been on my radar at all to do had I not met her. So that's the big thing there. And then with Colin, what having that sales letter really allowed us to do is to just serve more authors, work with more people. I mean, I think the first time that after we updated the letter and we send out a few emails, we'd have 100 something people come into our program in the matter of a week.
Wow.
Because of Colin's copy, because of the sales letter, because of, just the way that we put the promotion together, and that's 100+ people who were getting insights into how they could share their wisdom, their stories, their knowledge on the pages of a book to transform other people's lives.
Yeah.
So that, that's probably one, like, I remember that one night, like I was, at midnight, we're closing down the cart and I'm watching, and I think we got like our highest number was like 125 people in a matter of 3 days that came into the program. And, that could never have happened if I
Sure.
hadn't met Colin.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always ask, I always like asking questions like that, because not only does it get people like you and I really thinking about and looking at the big picture of what has really happened and what has really taken place and transpired as a result of just one or two key relationships in our life, because it really does drive home the realization that, like, wow, the right relationships are so valuable and so much can come from that. And for anybody listening to this, Christine, that's like, man, Kevin, I just really like what Christine has been sharing, and like the way she shows up and just what she stands for. How can they get more information on the work that you guys are doing?
The best place is probably simply to go to ChristineKloser.com,
Okay.
ChristineKloser.com. And that site is sort of a switching station to all three of my companies. We talked about two today, but there is a third one that isn't particularly relevant to this conversation because I just launched it. But that's where you can go, and that'll be like a switching station to go check out Get Your Book Done, to go check out Kapusha Publishing, and just to learn a little bit more about me and my story. And then, of course, at kapusha.com and at getyourbookdone.com, there's resources available for you, and phone numbers and emails and ways to connect with us to have a conversation about your book, if that is indeed something you're interested in doing. We're here to help.
Very good. Well, Christine, I really want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation. Any last thing you want to share before we call it a wrap?
Just to thank you for what you're doing, because relationships are gold when it comes to being a successful business owner. It really isn't so much what it is who is what is your support network look, who are the people that you're supporting, and how are you together through those relationships helping to make the world a better place, your business a better place, and your clients more successful in their lives. It happens through the people that we know. So
Yeah.
just keep building those relationships and cherish them and nurture them and take care of them. And it will absolutely help you get where you're going while you're also impacting other people's lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Christine, thanks again. It was such an honor having you on the show, and I'm excited to share this with people.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.